Greetings, comic friends. It is time for TGIW. Thank God it is Wednesday. It is New Comic Book Day. So we do the TGIW thing. So we have, I was really happy with last week, with the size last week. And it's happened before, right? Where I was happy, like, oh, hey, look, it's a reasonable week. And usually that's followed by, oh no. That was just that was a glitch in the matrix, whatever. And then the following week is like twice the size. But this week is actually, it's only one book more. Last week I had 10. This week I have 11. Still acceptable. And one of them, two of them, three of them, four of them are one-shots or limited series. So that's actually pretty great. So we'll start with those. Web of Spider-Man number 5. This story's fine. If you're not reading it, you're not really missing anything, in my opinion. Don't worry about going back and getting it or collecting it in trade. If you started reading it and you're reading it as it goes, it's serviceable enough, but it's not horrible. It's not great. Rorschach 12. This is the last issue of Rorschach. Thank goodness. This is, I've talked about Tom King before. Lately, for some reason, he's just really long-winded. All these 12-issue series that really should just be 6-issue series. And that might not be his fault, right? That might be the publisher being like, hey, let's stretch this out. You have an idea. You think you can fit it in 6, but what if you stretch it out to 12? We don't know that, behind the scenes or whatever. I'd give Tom King the benefit of the doubt and say that, because he's done like 6-issue minis before and they've been great. I think he's probably, as a writer, is smart enough to know when something should be 6 issues versus 12 issues. And at least I like to think that he's being persuaded or asked to stretch it out to make more money for the machine. I don't know. Maybe it's a little too conspiracy there, but I've been reading too much Department of Truth. Eternals 1, Thanos Rises. So, following the aftermath of the Eternals limited series, this is just a one-shot. But I think there's going to be a number of Eternals one-shots that are all related to each other. There was a time, and I really appreciated it, when Marvel, and I wish DC would do it too, I wish everyone would do it, that whenever something was a one-shot, they'd put around the numbering that it's a one-shot. It's really nice to know. I think it would probably... I don't know. I don't think it hurts. I think if only it helps. Like, there's a lot of times that if I knew something was a one-shot, I would have picked it up, but I didn't know. I thought it was the beginning of a new series, and I wasn't looking to pick up a new series. But if I saw it like, oh, one shot, yeah, this looks like a fun story, I'll read it. But for other people, it might go the other way. Like, they don't care about one shots, so by not putting it's a one shot, it tricks them into thinking that it's a number, like an actual number one. I don't know. I would just appreciate it, and sometimes I pick up a number one and I have to determine if it's a one shot. I have to go flipping through to find the indica and see, like, oh, this is a one shot. That's just kind of a pain. It's like, the information's there, just make it easy for me to find, please. And then Agony. So this is Extreme Carnage 7 of 8. And it's probably not 7 of 8, because there was the Alpha, and I'm guessing there's going to be an Omega, so it's probably really 10 issues. But again, this has been fun. But that's four books that are either like one shots or part of a limited series. So as far as ongoing goes, there's only seven? One, if my math is right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not too bad. So there's Campisi number 2. This was, I picked Campisi number 1 up. I think I pre-ordered it from a previews, and I read it, and I really liked it. It's been a while since I read it. Probably about a month. Makes sense. I think it was something about the world has dragons, but they haven't been around, or they didn't know, and the dragons are coming back. Something like that, if memory serves correctly. I don't recall the specifics. I'll remember as I read the second issue, but I do remember that I really, really liked that first issue, so I subbed up to it. Deep Beyond number 8. This continues to be good. It sold itself as, I think, more of a horror series, and then halfway through it became a sci-fi series, which is fine. It was interesting as a horror series, and it's interesting as a sci-fi series. It's not as advertised, which I understand, because it'd have been hard to solicit it accurately, that in a way that didn't give away the story. So I forgive it, but I like horror books a lot more than I like sci-fi books. If I knew it was going to be, in the end, a sci-fi book, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. Again, I don't blame it. I understand. They had this story in mind, and they solicited it the best they could, I assume, but without giving away sort of the twist that happens halfway through. Fantastic Four number 35. So this is 60 years. 60 years. I think this is a little early, because I think Fantastic Four number 1 came out in November of 61, I think. But whatever. They wanted an anniversary issue. It's a few months early. I'll give it to them. I think this is a spec book for some reason. I subscribed to Fantastic Four, and when I went to my shop, and this has a little bit of a ding up here, and I didn't see any on the shelf. Usually I look through all the books that they put in my file, and I'm like, I'll replace this. I'd like to replace this with a better looking one that's on the shelf. There weren't any on the shelf, so I asked the owner, are these out? Is there one that I can replace it with? And she was like, no, the speculators already came through. I didn't know it was a spec. I just want it for myself. I just want my own. I, as a collector, just want my own issue, and I like it to be as good as possible. But I guess, F me, right? But anyway, I don't really know what the spec is on this. Fantastic Four has been great, so I'm sure it's going to be awesome, whatever this spec or not. I'm excited to read the story in there. Homesick Pilots number 9. I'm kind of getting back into this. I really, really liked it at first, and then I felt a little like I feel with Deep Beyond. There's a little bit of a bait and switch, and that I still kind of believe that, but it's kind of getting back to the bait a little bit. It's not as big of a bait and switch as Deep Beyond is. This was very clearly a horror story, and then there's some sci-fi elements in it. I think are sci-fi, maybe with a bit of a makeup of horror on it, but it focused on that for a little bit, and now I feel it's coming back to focusing on the more horror elements. So I hope it sticks with that. Joker number 7. This might be on the chopping block. I don't know. I don't know. I have this. I always hate to cut DC books because I have so few, but I shouldn't I shouldn't. That shouldn't be my metric, right? My metric should be what I'm enjoying and what I think is good, not some sort of, I don't know, weird allegiance. Well, not allegiance, because I do prefer Marvel. But some sort of weird thought that, I should try to balance Marvel versus DC. Like, well, if DC isn't doing it for me, then that's on them, right? I don't have to give them my money. But I don't know. It's been okay. I think I'm more in love with the idea of a really good ongoing Joker book, and this might not be doing it. I actually have been in. I'm more surprised than anyone that I have been enjoying the Punchline backup story in this. Generally don't care about Punchline, but the story is kind of fun. So, but we'll see. Spider-Woman number 15. Again, as a surprise, I was really excited for this book because I like Spider-Woman, but I never in a million years would have expected that I like it as much as I do. Out of all of the, not there's a lot of them, but out of all of the Marvel DC sort of, out of all the Marvel DC books this week, this is probably the one I'm most excited about reading. I never would have thought. But it is continually strong. Is it the best superhero book on the shelf? No, I would never put it up there. I would not compare this against like Daredevil. Daredevil is just so amazingly good, but it is very, very consistently strong, and I enjoy it. Also, it is lighthearted. It's a lot more lighthearted than some of the other stuff. Like Daredevil is very, very good. It's dark. it's dark. There's not a lot of levity in it. Jessica Drew is very good at adding humor to her stuff. And I even say, like, right now for a long time, Spider-Man's usually that book, right? Spider-Man's the book where you have, like, that's Peter Parker, right? He's always throwing these quips around as he's fighting. That's where you kind of go for the superhero levity in Marvel usually. But Spider-Man's been what it's been. It has not been that. Wendigo, stop licking that, please. Spider-Man has not been that for a long time because it's been, aside from it, whether the story is good or not, the story has been very involved. He's been on just continually being bashed by what's currently going on, that there's no chance of reprieve or him to kind of take a breather and have some of those sort of human light moments. So I'm getting that from Spider-Woman now, which is too bad because one of the main reasons that I love Spider-Man so much is that there is that lightheartedness in it from time to time, and it's been gone, and that's makes me sad. And the last one, Star Trek Year 5, and this is it's take it or leave it. If you're a Star Trek fan, you should be reading this. If you're not, then you don't care. But if you are a Star Trek fan, this is incredible. So I can't suggest it enough if you are any kind of Star Trek fan. That's everything. There were a couple things, man, you'd be proud of me. I was proud of me. I grabbed a couple number ones off the shelf. I had them in my hand. I was about to go to the register. I'm like, you know what? Not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It was, what was it? Maw? Was it called Maw? It was like a 5-issue limited put out by Boom, I think. And then there was, whatever the latest Jeff Lemire joint was that looked good. Something about a monkey. I don't remember what it was called. But I had picked up those number ones and had them in my hand, and then I ended up putting them back. I was talking to Champ from Talk Comics to Me, who works at that store, and they were talking to me about those books and how they had read them and enjoyed them. So I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then I was like, you know what? this is what I'm trying to not do anymore. So they were like, hey, look, you can borrow my copies once I'm done and decide what you want to do, and maybe I'll just get them in trade or something like that. So I was appreciative of that, but I was very proud of myself that I put them back because it was very, very difficult, but I did it. And I was able to stick down to a reasonable number. But that is it. There wasn't really anything else. I don't think. Wasn't close to getting anything else. No, like older issues or anything like that. So, yeah, another decent week. Happy with the volume. Mostly happy with the content. Rorschach and Web of Spider-Man, 2 limited series that I will be okay with them wrapping up and being done. I know this is the last Rorschach. Web of Spider-Man is probably maybe one more issue after this. But everything else in here is looking forward to. So, not a bad little week. So let me know how you did. Let me know what you think about how I did. And we'll have that discussion in the comments. I don't think there's anything else to really go over right now, so we'll call it there. So like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. And of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.